Somehow I'm sorry to tell you, but according to the instruction, each one of you has to take his chair and to go to the other side of the room. These are the instruction of the...
זה יורד לך מהזמן אבל.
מאתגרים אותך.
מה?
מאתגרים אותך.
Because I see the movies here and you are here, so I'm replayed. 2 times I mentioned. Now the timer, who is the timer? Between 7 and 8 and 9 minutes, you know. My story today is a short review of the Middle East conflict, which is also known as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It will not reflect any political position, so don't worry about it. Officially, the Middle East conflict started in the year 1860. That time, Mishkanot Shananim was established, which was the first Jewish neighborhood outside of the walls of Jerusalem. That means that we are talking about 160 years old conflict, full of wars and bloodshed between the Zionist entity and the Palestinian entity. The purpose of the Zionist entity was to solve the Jewish problem by establishing a Jewish state. The Palestinian entity arose as a counterweight to the Zionist entity, and its purpose was to prevent the establishment of Jewish state in Palestine. Yet after the establishment of the State of Israel, the Zionist entity became the State of Israel, and the purpose of the Palestinian entity changed into eliminating this state. The question is whether there is a possibility of peace between these two entities. From the Israeli point of view, peace is possible, providing the Palestinian will accept and recognize Israel as it is, namely a Jewish state. The Palestinian point of view is that Israel may not exist, Jews may not immigrate to Palestine, and those who already immigrated must leave. In other words, there is no capacity of peace between two such entities. Now, over the years, many attempts were made to bring a peace in the Middle East. Let's mention a few of them. The Bush Commission from the year 1936, the United Nations Partition Plan from the year 1947, the Oslo Accords from the year 1993, the last one the deal of the century, yet undeclared, and there were many, many other peace initiatives in the Middle East. None of them succeed. None of them. As an example of the failure, let us take the Oslo Accords. In Oslo Accords, a lot of goodwill was invested by people like Yossi Beilin, like Abu Ala, like Prime Minister Rabin, like Chairman Arafat, like President Carter, and many others. And actually, the Oslo Accord failed. Why? Because when they started to implement the Oslo Accord, it appears that the Palestinians may not fulfill their commitments. For example, they could not collect the illegal weapon, which actually meant to fight and defeat Hamas, who that time committed many terrible terror attacks against the Israelis. They also could not stop the incitement against Israel, and this is basically why the Oslo Accords failed. The obvious question now is where this conflict is heading to. Well, I'm not a prophet, so I can tell you. All I can do is to try to see the trends. First, the Palestinians will never accept the state of Israel. Never. Second, over the years, the Israeli military and economic power has grown much above of that of the Palestinians, which means that these days Palestinian has no capacity to defeat Israel. In fact, Israel is not the main problem in this conflict. The main Israeli problem is the intervention in the conflict of bodies like United Nations, United States, Europe, and others, on which Israel depends economically and not only economically. 4. In the last year, and especially from the time President Trump was elected, it looks that United States and some Arab countries are starting to losing their interest in solving the Middle East process. This is a sign that shortly some other countries will also lose their interest in resolving this unresolvable issue. If that happens, the Middle East conflict will be resolved by itself. After all, after so many years, what can be done that was not already done? What is really needed today to solve this conflict is one courageous person that will stand up and shout clearly and loudly, "Khalas! Die! Stop it!"